Well, it is a beautiful rainy January 1st on 2023.
That's correct.
And we've wrapped the beautiful, subjectively beautiful year 2022. And there were a handful of standout titles last year, I would say. Yeah. So Nick, you and I both made our top 5 movie lists.
That's right.
Our favorite personal movies that came out of the year.
That's right.
Is yours in any particular order?
Mine is not.
Okay. I would say mine is.
Okay.
So let's do yours first, since yours there's no particular order.
Well, 5 of my favorite movies from this year, from 2022.
Bro. Great. Now we have to start all over.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, what's your first one
From last year?
From 2022
would be Smile.
Okay. Let's take it one step at a time.
Okay.
So what did you like about Smile?
Smile was dope because it didn't feel like the typical kind of horror movie to me. It wasn't really just cheap jump scares, and there's not really a story here. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's something scary and let's try to make a movie around it. No, like, there is something scary, but there was kind of, I don't want to necessarily say a message, but what the character was going through just seemed to have more like weight to me than other horror films. You know what I mean?
I think I agree. I'm wondering if it's because, like, in the movie, in the story itself, it followed its own rules and its own stakes. It didn't give the characters any get out of jail free cards. There was no Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Like, everything that happened was a consequence and was set up.
Yeah. And it was kind of like not like heavy, but it was like you said, like there's no like get out of jail free card. So it's like you're in the situation and you're stuck in it.
This is the reality of the situation of these characters. Yeah. Watch them deal with it.
And I like that. I like that overwhelming sense of dread.
Yeah, it's a horror movie. Like, do that.
Yeah, it really felt like, how the heck is she gonna get out of this one? And
yeah,
like,
it just gets more and more oppressive.
Like that one scene with the cat.
Yeah.
Bro, I was like, oh, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, man. That was a good, I don't know if that was like the turning point, but that was like, oh shit, they didn't hold that punch back.
Yeah.
Basically, they went for it.
I like that.
And this is a threat.
And even without spoilers, like the way they ended the film was like, oh wow, I like that.
The end scene, the end sequence was so good to me. Like, that was, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and more extreme until it ended. Yeah. I loved that. I thought that was great too.
It was kind of refreshing. You know?
Yeah, spoiler alert, Smile is also on my list if you couldn't tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I also thought very highly of that movie.
And even there was, because this comes up a lot, I feel like, but there were some comedic moments, but it didn't halt the movie.
Were there her dropping the glass and shit?
Yeah, because when he was like, did you drop the glass again? Like, it was just like, it's funny, but it's a real reaction. It wasn't
played up.
Forced. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, certain, movie franchises just do comedy like that.
Yeah.
You ain't got to stop for the joke, bro.
Yeah, Smile was super solid last year.
Oh my God, yes.
So what's your next pick?
Next pick is Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Like, that one was up there. Marvel fan, Black Panther fan. And it was a really good sequel. It was a really good continuation, especially after like the loss of Chadwick Boseman, but it didn't, like, it acknowledged that he passed, but it didn't feel like, again, like we have to like force anything. It didn't feel like they were acknowledging it in like a poor or like a cheesy or a corny way. Like, they handled it very realistically and organically, and
they had a lot of respect for it, and they didn't romanticize it or like make it a big story beat, because I feel like I feel like they acknowledged it just enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't linger on it too much.
Yeah.
They didn't keep like stopping the movie to like reference it, and it like nothing felt like forced, and it was like seeing everybody kind of deal with it in their own way. I like that a lot. The antagonist also, Namor, or the movie is pronounced Namor. I liked him a lot. I can't stand him in the comics.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely dislike him in the comics, but in the movie he was really cool, very compelling character, and like
He was just well written.
Yeah, and they like his whole culture. It was all very well like it was portrayed very interestingly, and it was
very
like,
well realized.
Yeah, it was dope. Even the music that would like accompany the scenes of the people from Talokan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, like it was interesting. Like the first scene of them where they're kind of like hypnotizing the people. It was kind of scary, but in a very interesting way. And it was like do Black Panther 3. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully.
I will also agree. Wakanda Forever was on my list as well. To me, it was a huge step up over the first one, just in terms of story writing, in terms of emotional stakes, character writing. Not insinuating that they were bad in the first movie, but it's like this was what a sequel in my eyes should be. You take everything that works in the first one and you build on it, you compound on it, and you just bring out like any latent story beats, any latent potential that was there, and you just really focus on that to its fullest extent. And in addition, this was one of the most beautiful Marvel movies I had ever seen. It just visually, it was so distinct, and you can just tell by like the lenses they used, the depth of field, the colors, everything felt less CG. Like, of course, there's tons of CG in there, but comparing it to like Age of Ultron or, even Endgame, like more recent, this movie just felt different. And it was just honestly a sight to behold. So yeah, Black Panther Wakanda Forever was my number 3 pick for this year out of 5.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me, and my list is in no particular order. I don't remember if we mentioned that already.
We did, yeah.
Good. Sorry, y'all. It's been a long week. But my number 3 is The Batman.
Yeah.
Man, it was better than The Dark Knight, which almost makes it.
It seems like no one is willing to say that.
Yeah, because it's like it's better than The Dark Knight, which does that by extension mean it was better than the entire Nolan Dark Knight trilogy as a whole?
I mean, shit, The Dark Knight was the best Nolan movie. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You know what? Me too. But no, yeah, the Batman was cool because, again, like you take this character, and you just, it was the way that they handled the Batman Bruce Wayne character that I liked a lot. Like they kind of like Nolan, they made it so that it's just, if it happened in the real world, it would be like this. But with what Reeves did, it was more of like a kind of grounded, gritty, almost David Fincher type of feel. Like it felt like I was watching like Seven or Zodiac or something like that. The suit, I'm kind of iffy on the overall look, but I like what they were going for. Riddler was cool, Catwoman was cool, Falcone was cool. Alfred was cool. This might be. This is one of my favorite on-screen interpretations of Alfred. He's not my number one because they didn't because they didn't utilize him all that much.
Hopefully he'll get more screen time as the trilogy fills out.
Yeah. But yeah, and even just like the look of the city was amazing. No other live action Batman movie has made me think like, wow, Gotham looks like really cool. At the very least, interesting. Like Schumacher kind of did it with the statues in the streets, but it was still like, yeah, that's all you did with it,
And one thing that I really like about this Batman movie, and I'm going to take a specific example here with the Batmobile. I feel like what they did with the Batmobile is sort of like the epitome of just what they did with everything in the movie. Because visually, this new Batmobile, it's no Nolan Batmobile. It's not the long classic one. It's very visually plain, at least in my. It's just a muscle car.
Yeah.
But they didn't focus, like, that wasn't the point of the Batmobile, at least in this movie. It wasn't to look cool. It was the presence it had. It was like everything else it represented. And like the car chase with the Batmobile in this movie was so intense, and it was so like visceral. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter how it looks. It's what it's doing. It's what it serves in the story. What it serves for the movie as a whole. Because that chase scene was amazing.
Yeah.
That car chase scene. And so I feel like that can also really just, like, again, be applied to so many other elements in this movie. Like the bat suit, how they interpreted Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne was. This is my favorite, like, Bruce Wayne interpretation.
Yeah, like,
it's up there.
What they did with the Batmobile, they did with everything. And it just made the whole movie feel like it was I don't even know, like a different, more raw interpretation of Batman. And it was so cool.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't know if you could tell, that was also on my list. I think we're 3 for 3 right now.
No, yeah, it seemed like the Batman kind of took all of these, Batman things and just like elevated it in a really interesting way.
Or altered it or focused on it differently. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, I like this. I like that, Bruce Wayne is kind of just, like that weird loner kind of guy. He's not the cool, suave guy, at least yet. Maybe in the future films he'll craft that persona, but I like that he was just like always in the cave, doing this thing. I like that. Alfred just kind of had a really cool look to me. Like I thought that was cool. Catwoman was interesting because she wasn't just like, I'm gonna just break in here and like steal shit for the sake of stealing shit. She was like, my friend is in danger and I'm gonna find out what's going on. And also, she has a really interesting connection to another character in this movie. So I'll leave it at that. But no, it was just dope. And even like I like the arc that he goes through. Also, like he goes from being a symbol of vengeance to a symbol of hope, biting off Superman a little bit, but sure. It worked very well, and it was
very organic, very natural.
Exactly, and it was just I like how they did that, because now it's like he's still gonna be Batman and doing the Batman thing, but in a better way, I guess.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Touching on what you had said previously about the Batman, how he may end up crafting that persona of like, prime Batman, where he's kind of cool and he has a handle on everything. Mm-hmm. It would be cool if they do end up introducing a Robin character, and him having to like care and look out for and train this basically son figure kind of leads him to becoming this like strong, like prime Batman, because like he's filling the shoes of a father figure, and now he has like, so he has to care about someone in his life, that's not Selena Kyle, that's not Alfred, like, and maybe like evokes some feelings of his father, or like the lack of his father figure. That just a side note, like it would be really cool if like that's how he becomes prime Batman.
That'd be
he
dope. Finds
like humanity again.
That'd be dope. And it really felt like they were kind of trying to set up the concept of Robin
with that little boy.
Yeah, because they kept looking at each other, and it was like, is he about to give him a Robin suit? Like I was kind of getting those vibes. Like he's not gonna be Robin, not in this universe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, but who knows? Yeah, he came back like in every act of the movie. So
yeah, that's weird.
But anyway, yeah, Batman, fantastic movie.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 at least.
I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Honestly, it's so good.
It's up there.
Yeah. So that was your number 3?
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
Black Adam. The movie that
This is the one we don't agree on. Top 5, okay.
This was, oh man, the hype for this movie was like insane for me, bro.
I'm gonna be real quiet about this one.
No, because like it started off like I remember it was like like Dwayne Johnson I think had joined like DC, and it was like, well, who's he gonna play? And people were throwing out the name like Shazam and Black Adam and stuff, and like I don't see him as either of those characters, but more so I don't see him as Shazam, but like Black Adam, like yeah, sure. And that was like because when the movie was announced and it was revealed like, oh, he was trying to play this character since like 07 or 08, like that's insane. So it just kind of it built the hype up a little bit more for me, because now I'm like, what about this character draws you in so much, and like what are you gonna bring to the role and everything, and and then like he was saying all this stuff. The hierarchy of the DC universe is gonna change, and I was iffy about that because it was like, don't make Black Adam the center of the DC universe. Superman needs to be the center of the DC universe, you know. Mm-hmm. But looking back on it, after kind of how everything turned out, like I wonder if when he was saying the hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change, I'm wondering, was he actually saying like, I'm gonna be the DC Kevin Feige? Because after Black Adam came out, he was like, yeah, you know, we're going to do Black Adam versus Superman and Justice League and Suicide Squad. But it was still like, kind of like the way he was saying it, because he was saying like Superman versus Black Adam, that's not going to be the whole movie. It's just going to be a moment in it. And he was saying like, we're focused on like long form storytelling. So we're not just going to rush everything. We're going to take our time and tell the stories where like they need to be. So like, I was on board. I was like, okay. I'm not mad at that, Dwayne Johnson. Like, yeah, this is chapter 1 of the new DCU. Okay, kind of weird but interesting. You know, keep the Snyder stuff canon. But and like there is stuff about the movie that I don't like, but it was still like watching it was an experience, because also it was like, man, I've been waiting like for years to see this movie, man. Mm-hmm. So now it's finally here, and like everything. Visually about it at least was like really cool. Like, yes, you feel like
visually, yes.
Black Adam's suit was really cool. I wish I would have just kept that one suit for the whole movie. It was a superior just look to me. That main Black Adam.
The the one he wore for a majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Fate. I loved his suit. I love that his helmet was like asymmetrical. I love that. The gloves kind of look like metal and they sounded like metal. You could hear them like clanking, but they don't move like metal. I thought that was cool. Like the voice was cool because Pierce Brosnan killed it. Hawkman's suit took me a while to warm up to. When I first saw it, it was like the ears are or not the ears, but the wings on the helmet. Mm-hmm. Those are too big. Everything else about the suit I thought was cool, but it was just like, that seems like a bit much to me. But you're watching the movie and like it works. And I like even his shit has like kind of like a, you know, I saw like some dents and scratches in it, so that was kind of cool to me. I guess for the sake of spoilers, I'm not gonna say what happens at the end, but
right, yeah,
like that was cool because that like elevated it for me, bro. Like 1.5 whole points, because it was a 7, but then like the part at the end, I was like 8.5. Yeah. 8.5 straight up, but then like everything happened after.
The thing you're referring to is pretty widely known. I think you could say it.
Yeah, when Superman showed up, like it saved the movie for me basically, and it wasn't even like, oh, this is kind of a whack movie. It was a cool movie. It was a fun movie with some whack stuff in it, but then you know Henry Cavill stepped back on stage, and it was just like, oh wow, they did it. They did it. And then, like, the next week, like, yeah, guys, we're not Superman anymore. Like, Black Adam's out, too. It's kind of like, oh, gosh. But, I mean, it was cool for what it was. And, like, it definitely could have been worse. Part of me was kind of expecting it to be, like, a little bit whack. But
I want to step in here for that because I was very skeptical about this movie for a long time.
Why?
Because for a couple reasons. I believe this director directed Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, he did.
And which was another Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson vehicle, that time for Disney. And Jungle Cruise, I don't know if anyone has seen it, is not a movie I enjoyed. I thought it was very. It was a product. It had no reason. Pirates of the Caribbean came out and it did its thing with a ride, and it made its own world, its own characters. Jungle Cruise was like skin deep in comparison. It was just so blah. And The Rock played himself once again.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt did her thing, but it was just soft. So I hear The Rock is producing and starring in this new Black Adam movie being directed by Mr. Jungle Cruise himself. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I don't like
Dwayne Johnson.
I actually really like Dwayne Johnson, but I hate how in most of his recent movies he plays himself, and it's always the cool guy, the cool good guy. Mm-hmm. It's like he gave up on acting and he just produces movies that he can be in as himself. And it's really been like that for a while now. And the trailer came out and it was like, oh, he's just being him.
No, I was sold on the trailer. For Black Adam?
Yeah.
I was sold. That first fight scene trailer where they woke him up in that tomb.
Your magic is weak.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I'm with it so far.
But the movie came out, I saw it, and honestly, I would say a good 85% of my worries were alleviated, assuaged, whatever, once I saw the movie, because it honestly did a lot better than I thought it would. The Rock still acted kind of like himself, but you could tell he really wanted to play a certain character, so he was like saying things that he typically wouldn't say, but he still wanted to add in the humor, and it's like, no, it's not funny.
That was one of the
You're not a good comedic actor, Dwayne. I'm sure you're a funny dude, though.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of little things. I think it was a 7 out of 10 for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was a 6. Maybe it was, but it did not make it on my year list.
It did for me, man. I like that movie a lot.
But I do agree, the action and the visuals were probably the highlight of the movie for me.
Yeah. The overall look of the film, the fight scenes, those were all really cool. And, again, there was stuff to me that was like, oh, this is kind of whack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not going to get into it right now, but yeah.
So, okay. Are we on your last one? Your last entry?
Yeah.
What is your number 5?
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes, that is a special movie.
That one was dope because I liked how they take a relatively simple premise. It's someone that's just not really like living their best life, and then they're able to access the multiverse, and not only can they live all of these other amazing, fantastical lives, but they're able to do it all at once, which is interesting for me. I've never seen it done like that before in terms of like the whole multiverse thing. And then the fact that there was like the whole like parental issue, like me and my kid aren't getting along, and then you see how that ties in with everything, and like it was just really well done, and it was just like a nice story too. And I had seen it at it was kind of like not like a rough time for me, but there was a passing of someone I knew, and like I saw it like the day after, and it kind of helped me like feel better because of just how like kind of how pleasant the story was, and how like heartwarming it was. So I like that a lot about it too. Mm-hmm. And again, just the way that they did all the sci-fi stuff and the multiverse stuff, and how it tied in with the story and what was going on with the characters. How everything connected, I just thought was really well done. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I hadn't seen it done anywhere like that. I've seen that concept so many times, but just how they did it it blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is actually a good segue, because Everything Everywhere All at Once was actually my number 1 pick, my favorite movie of all of last year. For like, I agree with everything you said. Literally, like, this movie it blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this in theaters when it came out, I believe in March or April. I think actually April of 2022. And that was around the time we had wrapped Who Are You? I think we had just finished filming a week or so prior. And so I was still in like prime directing, editing mode for that. And we saw the movie and I was just reminded once again of how amazing film can be. Like what the things that can be accomplished in film. I was once again reminded how like vast the possibilities are. Because like you said, I had never seen anything like this. And if like story-wise, yes, I've never consumed a story like in any medium quite like that. However, for me, it was how they visually communicated all of this stuff. Because it is such a complicated script with jumping between multiverses and like just traveling and all these concepts. But the way they tied it all together visually, it was just so easy to like consume. It was almost like a casual watch because you're just along for the ride with this character. Like you're visually along for the ride, and visually you're taking in all these multiversal story beats. But like I feel like the underlying mother-daughter story is what was really had the most weight in that movie. And it was so good. Just all around performances, camera work, directing work, story-wise, everything was top tier. That is 10 out of 10. Never seen a movie like it before. I hope, and a movie like that is something that like I can only hope to aspire to one day. I can only hope to accomplish something like that because that is truly an inspirational movie, at least from a filmmaker's perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my number one. And right below it is the Batman for me. Batman was my number two. They came out around the same time too. Batman was March, Everything Everywhere All at Once was April. And the Batman blew me away for much different reasons that we actually already talked about, so I won't get into it too much, but like it was such a shot in the arm of superhero movies. Like it's been superhero movies for a while have been so dependent on action and spectacle. And not that that's a bad thing at all, because I like both of those things, especially when done well. But the Batman, it really decided to do its own thing while also staying true to superhero movies, I would say, or at least action movies, because I think it's debatable. You and I talked about this. It's debatable whether or not that's even applicable to be a superhero movie. Like, yes, the Batman is a superhero in the comics, but this was very much a grounded detective movie with action elements to it. So blah, blah, blah. Batman, fantastic, refreshing. No other Batman movie quite like it. Great movie, 10 out of 10. And which is kind of crazy because I don't give 10 out of 10s very easily. It might seem like I do because it's 2 in a row, but it was a very good year last year. 2 10 out of 10s. And following up the Batman is Wakanda Forever. And yeah, we already talked about it. That was on Nick's list. That is my number 3, just under the Batman, because Wakanda Forever was a more traditional superhero movie. You know, it's Marvel, MCU, got action, got characters I'm familiar with, but it was just so mature and so emotional, and just, it didn't rely on spectacle and action. It just incorporated that into this emotional journey, and it was honestly great. I think, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, but I believe they really respected his legacy with Wakanda Forever. All right, I'm gonna truck through this number 4 because it is again one we talked about. My number 4 from last year was Smile, and we already had a whole episode dedicated to Smile. It was my favorite horror of last year. A lot of people praised Barbarian as being like, wow, this is like surprisingly good. And
yeah, Barbarian didn't like take it there though, you know.
exactly, Barbarian. No spoilers for Barbarian. And while Barbarian is a very good movie, it's really well made and it's well written. It didn't go far enough. It revealed something that was very cool around the end of Act 1, I would say. And for the rest of the movie, it didn't go past that initial reveal.
Yeah.
And because of that, it just sort of mellowed out.
Yeah, that was definitely kind of like an hindrance.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like there was so much that they could have done.
It was looking really cool for a while.
Yeah, and they just like, okay, here it is. And just left it at that.
Yeah. And like, yes, it was still a good movie despite that, but it wasn't a great movie because of that. And Smile, on the opposite side of the spectrum, it took something and went further and further and further to like just the most dire anxiety-inducing extremes. Yeah. And then it ended on like the highest note possible. Yeah. And that is, horror movie or not, regardless of genre, I feel like that is the most satisfying way to end a story. End it on a high note. Yeah. Like go out swinging, and Smile swung for the fences, and it was great.
That's a fact.
All right, I have one more. My number 5 for last year is one that was not on your list, but I know you've seen it, and that would be The Black Phone.
Yes, indeed.
The Black Phone was a huge surprise because it was not really on my radar in the slightest. But it really, really surprised me with just how rock solid the writing was and the acting. Like, those kid actors, in my opinion, were great.
They were really good. And it's weird because it seems like there's so many like child actors like out there that I see on TV and in movies, and I'm no disrespect to them, but it's like y'all are kid actors, okay? Yeah, like, you feel me? Like the performances don't really wow me like that. The ones in Black Phone, they're doing their thing, especially like going through all of those kind of like school shit with all the bullies. Like,
heavy
it just
subject matter.
It was heavy subject matter, and it was extremely believable, like from these actors. So it's like, wow.
It's not that you forget that they're kids. You forget that they're acting because they're doing it so well. Yeah. And it was just fantastic. And one thing I really like, especially because I actually saw The Black Phone before we wrote. Oh wait, right after we wrote our new short film that's coming out, The Lost Place. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being so inspired by how all of these different plot threads in Black Phone had a meaning and came back and were reincorporated at the climax of the movie. Like, all these things were set up, and they didn't. Some of them were set up like discreetly, and you don't expect them to come back. And some of them were very explicitly set up, and you're waiting for them to come back. And the combination of both of those setups, those two different types of setups, coming back and paying off in the end climax, it was so like, wow, they really had a handle on everything they were doing this entire movie. Mm-hmm. And because of how, for me, impressive that was, that made it to my top 5, just narrowly pushing out Jordan Peele's Nope. Okay. Because Nope was a great movie. Yeah. Like, I really liked Nope, but all things being said, like, I think The Black Phone is a tighter watch Like, I feel like it has more. I feel more satisfied watching The Black Phone than I do watching Nope. Nope. To praise Nope, however, beautiful movie, really cool. Kind of reincorporation once again, or maybe not reincorporation, but parallels, story parallels from different characters, and like you can really dig into the meaning of things, and it balanced humor with horror, of course, very well. Jordan Peele, very visually impressive, and I learned a little bit about how they shot the night scenes in the desert, and they invented a new way to shoot day for night, where they had, and take this with a grain of salt because I'm remembering right now, I might get a couple things wrong, but it's like they had a 3D camera rig setup where there's two cameras filming at once, but instead of doing it exactly like 3D, they had one was infrared or some shit, and another one was normal, and they were perfectly aligned, both of the cameras. And for those night shots in the movie where it's like vast deserts and everything is like dark but perfectly visible, they somehow shot infrared during the day and then normal during the day, and something about like the colors or the whatever from the infrared camera, they were able to composite it with the normal camera footage and make it look like this is just all shot at night. I think it has something to do with blowing out the sky in the infrared and being able to make that into like dark by compositing on normal footage. And it was something like that. There's a much better explanation out there by the actual cinematographer, I'm sure. But it was just, wow, they really did some cool shit with this movie. Very, very good. And if it weren't for The Black Phone, it would be my number 5 from last year. It was solid. But yeah, it was a great year last year. Like, honestly, we had some bangers.
Sure did.
I'm excited for this year. I don't know. What's your most anticipated 2023 movie?
I was just thinking that. I don't even remember what's coming out in 2023.
The Marvels.
What else is coming out in 2023?
Ant-Man, Quantumania.
I'll look it up.
Aquaman 2. The Flash.
Nah. Like, I'm gonna see all of those movies for sure, but like the Marvels, like, okay, sure. Ant-Man, yeah, because it's got Kang in it, and it's the quantum realm. Yeah, okay. I forgot what else.
Spider-Verse Part 1.
That's John Wick.
Oh shit, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer.
Oh shit, Oppenheimer.
What else?
I'm gonna say Mission Impossible is mine.
I think for me, not Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
I forgot about that one.
Oh, maybe. Okay, Doom Part 2. Equalizer 3. Expendables 4. What's going on here? Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, I've heard that one is interesting.
My most anticipated movies for this year, 2023, in no particular order, are Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And John Wick 4.
Okay. I think my most anticipated is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I am psyched beyond out of my mind for that one ever since Fallout came out. Mission Impossible Fallout really blew me away all those years ago. But that one, yes. John Wick 4, of course. Always there for John Wick. I think my number 3 is actually going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, then followed by Dune Part 2. Yeah, I guess in no particular order, but I'm really psyched on they really are committing to these multi-part movies, it seems, and I'm there for it because I feel like the story has more time to breathe over 2 movies now.
Yeah, you don't need to cramp everything into one film.
Yeah, if there's anything Marvel did right, it's they split Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame into 2 movies. I really believe the strategy, the marketing strategy, and the box office that those movies got is the reason we're getting all these part 1 and 2s now. I know it started with Harry Potter, but I feel like it was only a pattern for young adult movies for a while, but then Avengers did it, and now all these big franchises are like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are my most anticipated movies. It seems like it's going to be a pretty good year. I don't know if it'll be as good, but we can only hope.
Hope, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Well, here's to a good 2023.